Nice.
Hello, everyone. I'm Destiny, and Nate is joining me today. We are here at PHS Auditorium. Our guest today is a monumental figure in our community, and has been so for years. She has done so much and continues to do outstandingly as an educator, artist, and community leader. We are proud to have Miss Kim Zabbia. Miss Zabbia, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me. This is great. And such a glowing introduction. Destiny, I'm pleased.
Thank you.
So tell us a little about yourself to get started. Where are you from?
Whew,
Where'd you go to
well,
school?
first of all, I'm 70 years old. This is what 70 looks like. I'm sorry. Can't help it. Oh, what do you need to know? Be specific, Nate.
Let's
What do you
see.
think?
Where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in Ponchatoula. I was actually voted in my family the most likely to leave home, and I was the only one that got detention one day because my dress was higher than 3 inches from the crack in the back of my knee. Um, I got in trouble one day because I drew on the study hall wooden desks. Well, drew very deeply, like carved in them. But other than that, it was really fun. Yeah. It was great. We had a good time. And then I went to Southeastern, majored in English and journalism because I wanted to be a teacher more than anything. I didn't, I did art all the time, but I wanted to be a teacher more than I wanted to be an artist. And also because I was like 18 and I was going, oh, I'm already so talented. I don't need to take art classes. And that stupidity came back to haunt me about 5 years later. So then I went back and got another BA and got my BA in art. And then after about 10 years, I went to LSU and got an MFA, which is the highest thing you can get in studio art. And then, but stayed at Ponchatoula High. I didn't want to go teach in college. So.
Um, Speaking of art, you do a lot of art.
Yeah.
That's a given. How would you describe your art style, like personally?
It's changed a lot over the years, which is a growth factor, which is a good thing. Now I do these big, massive abstract pieces that have hints of realism in them. I stopped doing real. I stopped doing realism when I was about 40 because I kept trying to get more and more like photorealism where it looked like a photograph. Because every time my dad would look at it, he would go, "Oh, that's not real. Keep going." And I'd have to go back and fix and fix. And then all of a sudden, when I was 40, I was going, I am painting just to uh, get my father's approval. And he doesn't know squat about art. He majored in math. And I'm going, this is dumb. So then I started painting for myself, and it really just changed everything. It changed everything I was working on. So I've done everything. I've done about 400 portraits in my life, did 23 different posters, did the official Strawberry Festival poster for a couple years, and did 4 balloon festival posters and Italian festival posters. And I mean, I did those, and then I did big, massive, gigantic posters, did murals. And so I've done all kind of every medium you can think of. But also because I was teaching high school art, you have to know how to do all different media, from sculpture to printmaking to drawing to all different kinds of painting, to be able to share that with your kids. I'm not kids as in y'all, but students.
Hmm.
So you were also a teacher here at Ponchatoula High School?
For 32 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, what do you think separates a good teacher from a great teacher?
Oh, well, a good teacher has to really, really want to be there. Bad teachers are people that are there and they shouldn't be there. Okay. And I used to be the person in charge of teaching all the new teachers in the parish about discipline, assertive discipline and stuff. And there are really hostile teachers out there that should not exist in the world, and those are teachers that belittle the students, and I didn't want to be that type of teacher because I don't want to hear my name in therapy when they're 55, you know. And then there are teachers that are just also not good teachers, but they're too nice. They're too kind, and they don't ever stop, and they don't ever make their kids accountable for their actions, whether good actions or bad actions. And then there are the good teachers, which are assertive teachers, and they go, you know, this is the way it is, but they know that I love them and they love me. And I have to be loved, you know. That's why. That's the only reason we go into teaching, is because we love to be loved.
Oh.
Does that help?
Uh-huh. Thank you. You actually have most of the normal questions.
So we heard that you're also the mayor's wife.
Oh, I am the first babe. Yes, I am. Yes.
How does it feel to have such an important role in the community?
Well, it allows me to hear all the back stuff that goes on at City Hall, but it allows us to get a lot of really good things going on in the city, not just and we're not talking just art related, but I mean, if anybody ever has a great idea, we are, you know, we're all over it. And the only thing that bothers me is when people call and go, I need to talk to you about my drainage. And I go, I'm not an elected official. I know, but you can talk to your husband. And I went, no, when he comes home at night, we don't talk about drainage.
Right.
You know, he'd rather talk about oxidation ponds or something like that. But still, and he does. I'm very patient listening to all of his stories, and he's very patient listening to all mine too. So I guess that's why we've been married 48 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but he is the longest serving mayor, and he has no ego, which I think that's why he's so beloved. He's not Mr. Politician. He doesn't like to get his picture taken. He doesn't like to speak in front of groups. He just likes to get things done.
All right.
So, yeah.
How a mayor's supposed to do.
Yeah, as mayor's supposed to do, and they can still kiss babies and shake hands. Yeah, yeah. But he only has 69 weeks left and 3 days, and he is not going to run again. So that's good, because then we need to bring in a whole nother crop of people. Because, I mean, look at how old you are. You've never known another mayor.
Right.
Because he's been mayor for so long.
Oh, and guys, if you have questions to ask Miss Zabbia, put them down in the comments below.
Question.
And we're on Facebook, or we're on Instagram?
YouTube.
Oh, we're on YouTube.
Oh, we're on YouTube. Oh, okay.
We kind of already have a question for you.
Okay, here we go.
From Cambry. What kind of music do you listen to?
Oh, Cambry. Well, the music is going to be, let's talk about what I listen to when I drive, which is nothing. Okay?
You don't listen to
I
music
don't
when you
listen to
drive?
music when I drive. When I paint, if I do listen to music, it'll be, well, you know, there's that Right Pieces band.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know, that's really great. Tyler Kinchen and the Right Pieces is really good. I don't listen to him either. So let's see. I got, usually it's classical because, and it's got to be instrumental because I do a lot of thinking. And I can't think if anything has lyrics to it. So, and I do a lot of thinking when I'm driving. That's when I meditate. That's when I relax, and that's when you get so much. I mean, you're not going to get really creative ideas unless you're bored. And when you're bored, then things just pop, pop, pop. And that's a problem. I have too many ideas that I can't implement because I just have more than the time it takes to do them. So, another question, Nate. What do you think?
Hi. To quickly return to art for a bit.
Okay.
How did you make your art a profession for any like aspiring artists out there?
Oh, this is a good question. And in fact, I network with a lot of artists, and I work with them and try to get them to help them show in a gallery or help them post. And I had a talk that was it's not bad art, it's bad marketing. and it's just about promoting yourself, because it's not really about talent at all. It's about how good are you at posting on social media, how good are you at promoting yourself, period, regardless of what you do. And so, but from the very, I guess I didn't think, I probably always thought about going professional growing up all the time, but I didn't really go professional until I was probably about 30. And then it was straight shot the whole way. But I have not sold as many paintings as I have in the last 7 years. And I sell about 100 paintings a year. And then 1 year I sold 75. And COVID was great for artists because we were at home, and people were at home sitting there and going, look at that boring wall. I want a painting. Kim. So it really worked out really well for me then. But I could never have painted that many while I was teaching full time. I mean, people would say, how long, the dumbest question you can ever ask an artist is, how long did it take you to paint this? Because first of all, we don't know. It's just like being a musician. You're in your right brain and you don't know how long anything takes. All of a sudden you realize your legs ache because you've been standing for 4 hours at the easel. But if by chance you do have that kind of time, people would say, while I was teaching, how long did you do this painting? And I'd say, Mardi Gras holiday, Thanksgiving break, Easter, and you'd count it up that way because that was the only time I ever had to paint.
Right.
Because teaching is like a 10-hour-a-day job every day.
What inspired you to become an artist?
I've probably my mother, because it's not a talent that you're born with. It's a learned skill.
That is very true.
And just about everything is, but it's got to be somebody in your environment that encourages you to do that. My mother was really big in music. She used to sing in weddings, and she sat us down on the sofa and said and gave us a pad and played music, and we had to write down every single instrument we heard. So she taught us how to listen. She also taught me how to draw what I see. She would do caricatures of people all the time that were sitting across the room from us, and I would do that too. I mean, people would sit in faculty meetings and just try not to sit across from me because I would always draw a caricature of them. My dad taught me, without barely speaking a word, he taught me how to think creatively. So he taught me how to see things that were not there, whereas my mom taught me how to see things that were there. And she would pick up, like a leaf and just go on and on about, what's this shape? What's this color? What do you think colors went into this to make it? And it made me see. And that's basically what art teachers do. We teach people how to see. Just like music teachers teach you how to hear.
I love that. We have another question from the comments. Briana asks, what is your favorite painting you've done so far or in the past?
People ask me that all the time. And the question is, I figured it out. They are my transition paintings. When I change from one body of work to another body, and you don't really know you're doing it. A body of work is sometimes about 12, 15 paintings. I've done bodies as big as like 38, paintings. And then all of a sudden your paintings start to change, but you don't know they're changing until you get through that next painting and you look back and you go, that's not bad. And then you go, I really like what I did there. And then you start exploring that whole new route. All of a sudden there's a stroke there.
It's like your style changes.
Yeah, your style starts to change, and then you can look at it and you can say, oh, now all of a sudden I look back and I see that I've got like 10 that look like a body of work. And so I love the transition paintings. Sadly, so many of my transition paintings have sold, so I don't have them in my possession. But a lot of them I love keeping one from every body of work. It's usually just the one in the body of work that didn't sell. That's the one I get with. So, but those are my freebies. And Briana has another question.
No, Cambry has another question. Cambry asks, how long does it take you to paint?
Oh, how long does it take you to paint what? A mural could be like, when people usually ask me, how long did it take you to do this painting? I go, 30 years. Then they asked me, how did you figure out how to charge for this painting? And I'd go, well, you're not just paying for this painting, you're paying for the 5 I screwed up on before I got to this painting. So, I
And
mean,
the materials and the
those
time
are questions, yeah. But I wrote a book about what questions not to ask artists, but also how artists can be really, really dumb when they respond. And an artist who is really arrogant and thinks that they are the best thing that ever happened to the pencil, they are definitely an amateur. I mean, they are like not pros. I mean, professionals are always questioning themselves, trying to get better. They take suggestions really well. They are insecure. All of us are insecure. I mean, Mr. Kinchen, I know you're insecure. It comes with being an artist. We are. We think everything we do, this is probably the worst thing in the world. And then sometimes you do something and go, not bad, not bad.
Yeah.
But amateurs think, I remember having a student that I took out into the hall because I never got along. We never could work it out. We go out in the hall and he's in 9th grade and he says, I know what's wrong. You're just jealous of my talent. And I go, trust me, I am not jealous of your talent.
Not one bit.
Yeah. So anyway, but that was a good question, though. Thank you, Camp.
With some of the, as you called them, arrogant artists out there, there's definitely some you would prefer more than others, correct?
Oh, like people I have looked up to and
yeah, like who are your favorite artists?
I'm not big on arrogant artists, even though I am a big fan of Picasso, and nobody was more arrogant than Picasso. But as far as there are so many local artists, that we have more visual artists living in Ponchatoula than the rest of the parish combined. And
There's
that's
one woman I know. I forgot her name though. I found her on Instagram.
There's somebody here who does art,
I
actually.
forgot.
there is Matthew Moore does these massive murals. There's so many local artists, and that's what we try to do at Twin Steeples Creative Arts Center. And that particular place has been open about 14 months, and it networks visual artists. Like, for example, we had critique night last night, and about 10 artists brought the paintings they were working on, and we were able to talk about them and suggest possible titles and come up with ways to make them better paintings and stuff. So it was really good. It was a good networking thing because artists help other artists. Most artists are not, well, it's kind of hard because we're loners in a way because we work by ourselves. Not like this production where you've got like 10 people working on this production or, oh, heaven forbid, ever having to put together a film or a movie where everything is all there, screenplays, directing, producing, and it's like a miracle that one ever actually makes it to the screen. But with visual art, you know, I can do all of this by myself, but I need other people to get some feedback from them to be able to make that work.
How can someone get involved with Twins?
With Twin Steeples?
Yes.
Before we get onto that, could you explain what Twin Steeples is?
Oh, sure. Twin Steeples Creative Arts Center was put together, was created like 3 years ago. It's not part, it is in the city, but it's not, it's a nonprofit. It's not a city-run place. It is a city-supported place. But it is about 3 years ago, a local businessman, Harry Gabriel, called me, and because I had, after I retired from Ponchatoula High, I opened the art station the next day. I had 24 hours retirement. It was fine. And then I opened it, and we had like 900 all-adult students for like 15 years until this May. And that's when I sold it. But about 3 years ago, Harry Gabriel called me, and he said, come meet me down here at the old Lutheran church. And it's like a block south from the feed store. And I get there and I said, oh, Harry, this is really neat. It's a 100-year-old church. And I said, how'd you get the key? And he said, I bought it yesterday. And I said, you bought it? And then he starts all this, we're going to turn this into creative, we're going to turn this church around. I'm going to buy that parcel. I'm going to buy that other church. And there's another 120-year-old church. They both were built on that city block that many years ago, but never met till now. And then he was going, and then we're going to turn it into a creative arts center. And I went, you have fun with that, Harry. You go right ahead. And he goes, no, you're going to help. And so I eventually, I said, fine, you know, whatever, because I promote all that. And so then he got the Presbyterian Church to sell him that other church for $1 and the parcel for $1. And he turned the churches to face each other. And as soon as he turned to face each other, Harry died. And he was only 62, but he had built up such a nonprofit, such a strong board and a strong nonprofit. And, you know, every night, when he went to MD Anderson because his cancer apparently had come back, and he would call, and I'd think, oh, this is the end, and he'd go, did you write that check I told you to write? You know, I'm going, either get back here or just do something. But anyway, so we keep it going for his vision. But we change visual art every month. We just started this month we're having a living history exhibit about the history of the strawberry. So we have all the official strawberry posters, and we have straw and plants and old plows and all kind of other stuff. But next month we'll have painters again. We'll have painters, and some month we have sculptors. And then we also have music events, and we have a big market, and we have a steeple showdown coming up in 3 weeks where we set up 3 easels, and every 15 minutes the artists change easels and paint on each other's easels. Cool. Yeah, that'll be really fun. So it's just exciting to be there. But I volunteered there. I don't get paid there.
Mm-hmm. So how can we get involved with Twin Steeples?
You can go on twinsteeples.org, and you'll read all about it. You'll read about Harry. You'll read about the vision. You'll also see a lot of pictures of what we do there. And you can stop by and visit anytime, 12 to 5, Monday through Friday, or 12 to 2 on Saturday. And we have a new director, Joshua Duncan, who's a visual artist himself. And he's fascinating. I mean, if you ever want to talk art history, he's the man to see. He's really, really good. So it's a great place to be.
Yes. We have another question in the comments. Sarah asks, do you have anybody that inspires you?
Inspires me to do what?
They weren't really specific.
Come on, Sarah. What else?
I guess anybody that inspired you. Well, we asked you that question, so they weren't really specific.
All right, let me make it easier for you.
Is there anybody that inspires you in general, like in life?
In life, do you realize how big life is? Destiny inspires me. There are people who inspire the way I dress. There are people who inspires my haircut. There are people who inspires my art style.
Well, let's hear some of it.
Let's hear it. Oh gosh, I loved my old teachers. Yeah, no, that's not true. No, actually, there are certain teachers. Like if I didn't love my English teacher when my senior year in high school, I would never major in English to begin with. And those are people, I mean, we're formed by people who inspire us. Mm-hmm. My mom inspired me. I mean, she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 61 and just decided she was just going to make fun of it for 8 years before she died. And she had a sweatshirt that said, I remember on the front and I forgot on the back. And she volunteered for testing, and she was very inspiring. My dad always came up with crazy inventions that he never got patented, and that inspired me. I mean, you'd walk up on the carport and he'd be sitting on the swing and it was moving, and he was pressing a doorbell on his finger and it was moving a sewing machine motor on the ceiling. And I mean, just, crazy things, but just they're different people in your life. And those people come and go. They don't stay with you forever. Mm-hmm. But it's wonderful that would be a wonderful legacy, to be able to know that you inspired someone. And I often think of those people and thank them too. You go back and thank them. Yeah, so it's great. And I'm on Facebook, and people say, do you miss your students? And I go, well, they're all on Facebook with me. I see everything and I hear from them all the time. But I've taught like 7,000 students.
Yeah. I do remember from the last podcast, Mr. Peavy, he's a science teacher here at Ponchatoula. He said you were one of his favorite teachers to work with.
Oh, he was one of my favorite students. Just don't tell anybody. Okay?
Don't worry, we won't tell anybody.
Please don't tell a soul.
Like on
unless
YouTube,
they will.
Right. No, yeah. Don't tell anybody. But I have tons of favorite students that actually teach here,
Mm-hmm. What is some advice you could give artists that are in high school?
Draw, 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 draw. Draw all the time. Learn. Understand that, yeah, you can just go on YouTube and learn how to do anything, but it's not like having someone to sit there with you while you're doing your thing.
Or
You know,
something
and
come
to be
from
able
your
to,
brain.
yeah, and understand there's so much more than stuff that you can teach yourself. And so there's a whole show going on behind us. In case y'all didn't know, there's an entire show going on back here.
We can't say.
I'm so glad we're so
Don't
happy
even
doing this show.
expose.
This is a great podcast. Yeah.
I love this.
The
The
secret has been
behind the
exposed.
scenes of this kind of thing is
we do
deeper.
we do
It's
record
deeper.
behind the scenes
Right?
sometimes.
Yeah. And we know. I was inspired by the Michelles of the world and the Briannas and the Cambrias.
Me too. I was inspired to act out a.
I was
yapping
inspired
who
to
that
learn how to
is.
spell their last names. That was really big. Anyway. I'm inspired by my daughter. How's that? My daughter who lives in Nashville and my 3 grandkids. Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
I have one daughter,
Okay.
and her name is Kate, and she works at Vanderbilt University, and she is in charge of all the postdocs and the PhD students to get them a job. She's not in the healthcare business. She's in the right brain business to teach them people skills.
Is she watching the live right now?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I'll have to send
she
it
is,
to her.
hi.
Yeah. I doubt if she's working. Yeah.
She could go watch. You just gotta send her the link.
Hmm. But we get to go to Nashville a lot to see
My dad sometimes goes down there and works for Nashville.
up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Business trips.
So your other questions, inspired me to write my books. Yes, I have 2 books
Oh yeah, really?
that I wrote, and there are people like great poets and great writers, short story writers and stuff like that that I loved writing the 2 books. One was in '96, and then the other one was like just 2 years ago. It was great.
What are they called?
One's called Painted Diaries, which is the experience of me and my mom as she was going through Alzheimer's, because she would write a journal too, and a journal of her experiences. So every chapter is her journal, then my chapter from where I was at that point. And when you finish reading it, you know way too much about me. But it's got the whole experience she had, because she was being a journalist. She would write as a reporter, a newspaper reporter, and then she lost the ability to write, but then my paintings started to reflect her symptoms. So that's what that book was about. This other one is called Just Paint It Ain't, of which I did not title because because we put the board on the wrong side. But it's actually about how viewers talk to artists. So there's a lot of advice for artists in Just Paint It Ain't. It's about the marriage between the artist and their viewer. And people who are not artists don't realize that they're affecting artists by what they say.
Right. Do you have any hobbies besides art?
Artist, not my hobby, Destiny. There you go.
That wasn't my question. That
Wow.
wasn't my
Look,
question.
I think it's written behind me, and she's just going.
Look, she wants to hide
Ask her.
behind the board
I wonder where
now.
the
One of
question
the
went. Where'd it go?
one of the chapters in my book is titled, "Oh, isn't that sweet? You were able to turn your little hobby into a business."
Oh.
No, a hobby. My hobbies are. I have one passionate hobby, and it's movies. It's everything that ever goes into movies: the screenplay, the background, the director,
Oh,
the
so
producer.
you like the creative side of movies
I
being
love
made.
the creative side. I told
Okay.
Zab if he wasn't around and we hadn't gotten married, I'd be in LA writing screenplays right now. Yeah, but no, art is my business. It's not like
But it's also like your
it's not
life.
like the fun. It's not like when you go in the studio and you have to create something. It's called work for a reason. It's a work of art because it's work. And it's great. You want to be able to say, oh, this is so great that I have produced this, but producing it is just a pain in the butt. I mean, it really, really is hard. And and so I'd much rather teach. I'd rather write a lesson plan than do a painting. But I do the paintings because I I love the work part. I love to say I wrote the books because, not because I enjoyed writing, but because I wanted to say I have written. Okay.
Yes.
So I go back and forth between loving the process, but loving the product more. I love the end product of it.
Speaking of teaching and studios, we've got a question from our live studio audience.
Which one, Cambria or Briana? Or Michelle? Okay.
Just Joey, Briana, and I actually.
All right. What is their question, Nate?
I'm really sorry. As a teacher, do you miss teaching?
Oh, I still teach. I haven't quit teaching since 1974.
Oh.
I taught a group in Covington 2 weeks ago. I'm teaching a group in Slidell. Core color, base color, and stuff. And I taught at the art station every other day for 15 years. So, yeah, I couldn't imagine retiring and not getting to teach anymore. I don't like it when teachers just quit because there's just so much knowledge in their brain that they need to share. But they also need to keep up with all the changes in their field, which is partially why a lot of them just don't want to teach anymore. But it is really, really different teaching after retirement than it was teaching high school. You know, I mean, and I never wanted to teach anything else but high school. And then after I retired, I started teaching just adults, and I enjoy teaching high school more than adults. You know, I mean, high school is so great because you get this age, and you can help them go out and focus.
Kids, yes.
And they say, "Where are you going? And have you taken your ACT yet? Or have you gone? And where do you plan to go to college?" Or Joey saying the only answer is the Army. But the best part, and that's so great, you hear about all that when you're teaching adults. You're hearing about urinary tract infections and all their cancer and all the, and you got to go, health is over. We have to start talking about painting. So,
Right.
yeah, but I do love teaching, period.
We have a question from the comments. Ethan asks, how do you compare the process of writing versus the process of painting? How are they alike and different?
Well, if you approach both of them the same way, then you'll like them. I mean, you'll really love doing them. And that is, you don't plan too much ahead of time. You just start writing it's like free journaling. It's like free writing. You just start writing every crazy thought that comes to your head. And the same thing goes with your painting. It took me, it wasn't until I realized that point where I was, pleasing my dad with my paintings. I was planning it so much because you're dealing with a teacher who has the right brain to go paint and write, but you have to be a left brain person in order to be a teacher because you got to know what those rascals are doing every second of the 1 hour you have them in there. So everything has to be planned. So it was really difficult for me when you start on a big white canvas or a white sheet of paper that you can't plan this. You really just need to throw the paint on there and see what happens, or throw the words down on that, keyboard and see what happens. And then all of a sudden, that's the way the first book happened. I would start to write down everything funny Mom said and everything anecdote that we took place in that period. And then all of a sudden I looked at it and I went, there's 150 pages of this. I think I'm having a book here. And then I turned it into a book. So yeah, it wasn't like I set out to write a book.
With you do art like often, as has been brought up a while. Let's see, how do I phrase this? I'm assuming to do art, you have to be in the right mind space, like have like certain conditions.
Be in the mood, you mean?
Yeah,
Nate?
be in the mood. Have
no, if I had to wait no, that's what the amateurs say. That means they're lazy and they don't want to go to the studio and get to work. It's work. You don't have to be in the mood to go to work every day, right? I mean, it'd be nice if we were all in the mood to go, slam hamburgers back and forth, but, you just have to do it. And you can't wait to be in the mood to go to school. You still have to go to school, right? So the same thing is with your work. You don't wait to be in mood. Now, you might become inspired in the middle of the thing, but not necessarily before you begin. Because if you wait on that, you're just looking for a cop-out. Yeah.
I think I might have phrased that a little wrong. That was a really good question to answer, actually.
Oh, I got a good answer,
you're
going to give me a better question. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, not like mood per se. More like you called it like you do art with your right brain
Right.
a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any like troubles sometimes separating that from
Oh,
like your
gosh,
normal
yeah.
daily life? And
Yeah.
like how do you like balance that out?
The right brain does not include words. And that inner voice that's in there is your left brain telling you how really dumb you are and how not talented you are and you need to give up because you're a total failure. But the right brain is all just like a trance. It is like no words, it's all visual. And so people ask me, what do you do in the studio? And you tell them, say, I spend a lot of time just sitting there staring at nothing.
And a canvas,
And
and
it's
a blank canvas.
what it's doing is generating the position that you need to be in to create this, which can stop and flip back to the left brain anytime. Like for example, your pencil, the lead which has no lead in it, but the graphite part of your pencil is the right brain. Your eraser is the left brain. The eraser is the one that's saying, "Oh, you just screwed up. Erase it. You did wrong. Erase it." So that's why when I teach drawing, I have them tape off their eraser. And so they can't flip over, because lots of times you flip over that pencil and erase something that turns out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's just that inner voice that's telling you. And the inner voice is the person in your life, in your childhood, that criticized you the most. And then it starts to sound like me. And I don't want that, so.
We have a question from the comments. Alyssa asks, is teaching your favorite thing to do?
Yes. See how nice and quiet? Yes.
Besides the art questions, I kind of want to ask you, what's your favorite part, area, thing, etc. about Ponchatoula?
Oh, my favorite thing about Ponchatoula? There's so many favorite things. I think if I had to pick one thing, it would be the volunteerism. They're just, I mean, like, we did that big 10-foot strawberry down in the middle of town.
Mm-hmm.
It took us 2 weeks to get the $10,000 we
did
needed.
that?
Everybody just goes, sure, yeah, here, take this money. We did those big bronze sculptures downtown, the ones of the Native American feeding the deer and the strawberry thing. And it no time at all, we were able to raise money. We did the Wellness Plaza. We raised $100,000, in 3 months. And it was just the fact that nobody goes, they don't answer me when I ask. They don't go, what's in it for me? They just go, yeah. And I mean, because the answer is quality of life. We just have a really good, wholesome, wonderful place to live. And yeah, there's drama, and there's tackiness and there's cattiness like there are everywhere. But in general, everybody pulls together to make good things happen there.
So now we have some fun questions.
Oh, fun questions.
for
I thought
you.
we were already having fun, Destiny.
So we've been having fun this whole podcast.
This whole podcast.
So, first question: are you a cat or a dog person?
Well, let's see. I am a both person, but probably more cat because I was never allowed to have a cat growing up. And every kitten I brought home, my daddy killed. And then I was in high school, and poor baby, he came up to see me. He goes, I really didn't kill this one. I just backed over it. I'm so sorry. I mean, he finally felt really bad about it. And so then after I got married, and I married a cat and dog person, okay? So after we got married, we got a cat called Cedar, and he lived 14 years. And then we decided not to replace him. So we had a contract out on him the last year of his life because he was so mean. But people would go, oh, I'm going to back up, tell your cat. And we go, come on back.
That's why I don't like it.
I know. But the reason the cat worked out so well for us, because we're just very seldom home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only kind of pet you can have if you're not there.
Mm-hmm.
A dog, needs more attention than that.
Yeah, a cat, they got the mind of their own.
They do. Yeah.
They run the house.
They do. They do.
Do you want to ask the next question?
Sure.
Other fun questions.
Yeah, we've got a whole 3 of them.
Ooh.
How fancy. Speaking of fancy, what's your favorite restaurant?
Oh, definitely. Let's see. Ponchatoula for one. It's definitely going to be Ruin Brew. Tula Burger, Pink Agave for sure.
Yes.
The the restaurants that Paul's, of course, just run in there, grab some eggs. Because we eat out just about every lunch every day, and Zab just doesn't want to go anywhere but Ponchatoula. We'll go down to Manchac, go to Middendorf's because the owners are our friends, and so. But Zab does like to. He started cooking about 7 years ago, and so I just sat back and said, well, I did the first 40 years. You can do the next 40 then. So I'm sous chef now. So he cooks.
Now, what's your favorite type of food?
Favorite type of food, like a category?
Or like a dish, or just your favorite food?
No, favorite would probably be French, like the thin pastry, and I really like French cooking. And Zab's mom was French, and his dad was Italian, and so she cooked French all the time. She very seldom cooked like the real old-fashioned Italian way. And my parents, mom just boiled everything. I never really learned to cook till after I got married, and then I really liked it though.
So we got one last fun question.
Oh, just one last. Okay.
Yeah, we couldn't afford any more.
If you could live anywhere, where would it be?
Oh, another place? You mean live other than Ponchatoula?
Yes.
Okay. I found it. I found it like 3 years ago. I would live in Savannah, Georgia, because it's so much like Ponchatoula, and it's got a wonderful. Oh, it's gorgeous. I mean, every other block is like a big oak tree. There's another fun
It's like
question.
a warm
It is.
feeling.
It's a nice, warm atmosphere. It's got a lot of good art colony areas. And it's really conducive to art.
Well, this is the end of the
Aw.
podcast. I'm so sorry because we have had so much fun with you.
Well, we could talk a long time. We could just call off YouTube and just keep going.
Well, this has been so much fun, and we are so grateful to have you, Ms. Zabbia. Thank you so much for joining us. Our next guest is Miss Rose Dominguez. Next week, we are PHS Digital Humanities Club, and thanks for watching.